Hello, hi, my name's Chris Dangerfield and welcome to MySpace. And so, kind of a dark time, the 70s. We didn't have a lot of money. I've just been making a video about my years 16 to 24. It's about an hour and a half long. It's in sections though, and I'll be dribbling this out to you at some point soon. I'm just going to I just want a few days away from it so I can look back at it and make the decision as to whether it goes out or not. It isn't as bombastic and incident laden as like the Crack Diaries or Sex Tourist. It's more sort of rites of passage, coming of age, kind of university years sort of stuff. So just calm the fuck down, yeah? I mean, absolutely no one has asked me anything about it. So this is all going on in my head. But that, alongside that and the writing of my novel, which is about 50% childhood and 50% the more recent times, I've been remembering all sorts of strange details from my childhood. And Amway is certainly up there with some of the most surreal chapters in the development of what is a damaged, broken and and chemically tortured soul. We didn't have a lot of money in the southeast. I think we had more than most. I'm talking about we as in the area. But it was the 80s, and for the Americans there was you might know Harry Enfield, the comedian. He kind of made his name with a comedian called Loads of Money, and he was like a plasterer or a builder. There was a lot of money. I mean, my old man was a painter and decorator, and there was suddenly just loads of work. People wanted their houses done up. It was funny. I remember someone coming to a load of money up just near where I lived, and they had 2 Doric columns put out the front of their middle of terrace, like 25 foot across. It was fucking gross. And like lions' heads and things, and you know, people were dressing their mutton up as lamb as much as possible, and loads of money would sort of come out and they'd make a few sort of rubbish. It'd be like, I'll look it up, Harry Enfield, Loads of Money, or Loads of Money. The English people around my age will know the character well because it was massive. And they'd just come on and they'd go, yeah, I went down the shop, went in there, thought, I won't buy the chocolate, I'll buy the shop because I got loads of money. And that was the punchline. He's got loads of money, and he had like a wad of money that he flashed about. And a good friend of mine, I remember in the 90s, said to me, you do realise no one north of Watford got that joke because it was still shit broke, piss poor. But in the southeast, you know, with working class families such as mine, with Vote Thatcher posters in the window, strange times. And of course, this was it. This was the era of the yuppie. This was when the news would focus on stockbrokers with mobile phones and red pinstripe suits and Ferraris and women with hair that was enough, surely, to take them into the atmosphere, if only their jewellery wouldn't hold them to the floor. And I remember along came Amway. Now I've got to be careful here because they're still in existence, and apparently I had a little look. I've done a bit of research, and I mean a bit. You know, I scanned Wikipedia, and I only done it to see if they were still in existence. If they wouldn't, I would have really ripped the piss and told you some other stuff. But you know, they're still in existence, and Forbes magazine reckoned they're something like the 29th richest company in America, or most successful something. They call it multi-level sales or something. It used to be known as pyramid selling. They've made a lot of effort to not call it that, but it's that shape. Does that keep me in legal shallow water? I don't know. It's that shape selling. And you know, I remember the bloke that done it, he came down, the people that got my parents onto it, the pushers, the peddlers, the hope peddlers that got my family into it, they lived at the top of the road, across the road, they lived up the road, and they come down and suddenly they had like Lyle and Scott jumpers on and sort of like Lois jeans, and they suddenly looked a little bit better off than the rest of us. And you know, in retrospect, they blatantly put their best clothes on because they were desperate to recruit someone so they could, you know, add to their share of that shaped pot. And it was fucking weird, man. He was telling my old man all about it, and it was all facts and figures and numbers. And my dad was a cynic. He was just sitting. He wasn't convinced, and I was, because it was hope. It was like, hang on a minute, because we knew, because my dad said it every day, at every opportunity, in response to any question or event or any. It was his mantra: "We will never have money, son." When Amway come about, and I had this bloke Derek sitting there with his missus, and he was sort of telling us how so many people become millionaires so quickly selling cleaning products at parties. Do they go together ever? Well, it's one of the most successful businesses ever, so clearly they do. Probably at this part rather than this part, but you know, someone's raking it in. I don't know if it was Derek. Certainly weren't us. Anyway, so he got invited. They invited my mum and dad to another like a presentation. And I remember Derek was really excited about this bloke. I can't for the life of me remember his name, but there was this bloke, and Derek was going to my dad. He went, "I mean, when you hear him talk, Alan. I mean, when you hear him talk, I mean, it's like magic. It's what it's like. It's like magic. It comes at you, and you think, hang on a minute, I can do this. I can be like him. I don't have to be me. I can be like him." Encouraging stuff. What? You don't need to be you anymore, Alan. No, you can be something good. You can achieve something. Look around you. Look what you've achieved. It's nothing. Anyway, me and my brother, we shared a little bedroom up the top, and we've gone to bed that night, and we're telling each other what we're going to get. Imagine I'm going to get myself a PK Ripper. That was the BMX of the day. I'm going to get this. My brother's telling me what he's going to get, something about Miss World or something, you know, and all this, and just indulging in this money future that we were obviously going to have, because Derek said as much. I thought about pretty much nothing until the day my mum and dad put on their best rags and went off to this presentation. And they come back, and I can remember my dad's expression was, he was kind of playful, but there was a touch of embarrassment. There's no doubt about it. A little bit of him died that night. And my mum, same old face, doesn't care really, as long as, you know, food on the table. What? And me and my brother were like, "Hey, did you do it? Did you sign? Did you agree? Are we going to be rich?" And they were like, "Yeah." Wow, man, it was like we'd won the polls, because, you know, the way Derek sold the story to us, there was no chance of failure. That, you know, that wasn't an issue. You know, Derek pretty much, you know, said that. Nearly said that. I don't know if it was in the contract, that's for sure. Over the next few weeks, it was strange, because my old man was quite creative. He always wanted to go to art school, but it was never an option. He didn't have that kind of education. He married young, had 2 young kids. Well, everyone has young kids. No one gives birth to a 17-year-old child. You know, and went into work. But he painted. He had oil paints and things, and he made sculptures. Our little Midler Terrace, sort of 15-foot wide garden, was full of all these big metal things, and amazingly, he made a canvas sailed windmill. No shit, amazing bloke, really, that powered the pump for the pond in our garden. But, you know, like I say, it was only as wide as the house. It was a bit hang on, my mum trying to hang her washing all these bits of metal on this fucking windmill. Anyway, so over the next few weeks, I've seen him getting into it, and, you know, in retrospect, I could tell what he was trying to do. He was trying to invest some real skill into it. And, you know, pre-computers, pre-power, well, not pre-computer, you know, it wasn't the Babbage's adding machine. There was computers. There was even the Spectrum microcomputer sitting right down beside him. But pre-PowerPoint is what I mean. Jesus, having a go. And he was doing these flip charts, and he was making them all nice, doing all the lettering. It was a bit over the top, in fairness, but I think if he hadn't have done that, it would have been blatantly clear to him that he was getting involved in pyramid retail of cleaning products. For a man who wanted to go to art school and ended up painter and decorator, I mean, it's related, it's connected, it's honest, it's a valued trade. He made some nice sort of wrought iron things for people's doorways. Made this lovely big copper hood once. I remember for the Easts, it was a family called the Easts, and this copper hood, hand riveted. the sort of bottom sort of hem, I suppose you'd call it. You know, this thing was big enough. Me and my brother used to hide in it because it was in our front room. We didn't have a workshop or anything. And with the scrap copper, with the copper that was cut off the sides to make this huge thing for a real log fire in someone's grand house, from the cut off metal, he made a little copper hood about that big for our gas fire. It's still there. No shit. When I next go down my mother's, I'll get a photo of it. This little copper hood with hand riveted. It's the same thing in micro. Oh, give it a little polish. Anyway, so he was trying to, you know, give it something and some artistic integrity into his charts. And he was doing all these flow charts and all this, and you know, and Jesus, you know, in that pyramid selling game, you've got to shift some stuff. You've really, not only have you got to shift this stuff, but you got to recruit people. You know, and it's like the mathematics of these things don't go down too well. I remember there was this thing called the Love Hearts Club, or the Hearts Club, and it was only for women. That was its sales angle. It was only for women. And, you know, they had big presentation in Dartford, you know. This was when I was a bit older. And you went along and it was like, if you can recruit 16 people, they all give you like 50 quid, and then this happens, and then they recruit 16. And it looks fantastic. And the non-mathematical mind thinks, well, hang on, I can't really lose here. You know, there's someone at the top, and then they've got their 16, and they've all got 16 each. And it turns out that after like something really weird, like the 6th row, there's not enough people on the planet for it to work. You know, and I think they kind of assume maybe that women don't have the on average very mathematical minds, and so that's probably why they made it just for women. And it was an amazing thing. You give your money, you get your heart, and you know, after the 6th row, everyone's like, hang on, there's no one left. Everyone's been asked. And it was much the same with Amway, which stood for American Way. They had all these revolutionary cleaning products. It doesn't matter how good they are. You know, it was almost their fault that they were so good. I mean, one of their products was called LOC, Liquid Organic Cleaner. Way ahead of its time. Organics in the early 80s. Liquid Organic Cleaner. And it was concentrated. You only needed a few drops in a bucket, and you could get the super, like, glowing in the dark strontium 90 version. And they proved how organic it was. Now I'm going to have to take a step back. The way you get rid of this stuff is through parties, like I said. So Mum and Dad threw their first Amway party. Now the first one's great because no one's ever been to one. No one knows anything about it. And it's a laugh. It's the 80s. Yeah, let's get involved. And, you know, you had the Ann Summers parties selling sort of sexy underwear and all that. They were sort of about. But the Amway party was incredible. Our house, tiny little house, it was rammed. Everyone from the street was there. And, you know, there was my old man with his flip chart, which was more about recruiting, but he did have some stuff on it showing you how their soap powder, SA8 it was called, you know, it could almost wash more people than were in the world. It used the same mathematics. But he was there, my mum was demonstrating it, and one of the demonstrations was apparently, and this was never written anywhere, because I checked with her the other day, although it wasn't written anywhere, it was a myth among Amway salespeople that you could put Liquid Organic Cleaner, LOC, their sort of, that was their sort of flagship brand, if that such a thing exists. You could put it in coffee or tea as not only to demonstrate its organic qualities, but actually as a flavour enhancer. This is true. The next bit's a bit painful for me because, of course, I would demonstrate that to all the housewives. There I was, knee-high to a grasshopper. Well, let's work it out. About 9 years old. I'd have a cup of coffee. Always good to give kids caffeine, especially little hyperactive ADHD ones. And I'd pour straight from the bottle of, you know, the stuff that my mum's just demonstrated on a bit of sink. How much bubbles and shit makes. I pour it into my cup of coffee. Just drink it. There you go, look. My son's even drinking it, she'd say. And everyone go, oh, does it taste any different, Chris? Oh, I'll go give it a go. And they'd be like, no, you're all right. No, I don't want you. I don't want to put washing liquid into my coffee. And another one of the demonstrations, of course, said, get me to get furniture polish all over my hands, like, you know, proper blacking up. Probably get arrested these days for hate speech. And I'd be there like that, mommy. And then liquid organic cleaner. So on top of the polish, which is a petroleum-based... no wonder I've got such lovely, rough, dying, flaked-up hands. And then I'd put the LOC on. Gone. Absolutely gone. Probably a few layers of skin as well. Then the old biro pen had come out. Write that into my palm. Go round the room so that all these housewives and their husbands, because this was on top. This was fresh. This was Amway. This was the new thing. This was a party. This was what was going to make Janet Allen Dangerfield rich. And then go round. They all have a little drawer on my hand. Out come the LOC. Gone, mommy. Yeah. Few of them bought a few bits, yeah, a bit of trade, ka-ching, ka-ching, da-na-na-na. They all went. I think they took about 70 quid. No recruitment, so a bit of a letdown. It was a shame, because if you recruited 20 people or something in a month, you got to become a diamond dealer. I think that was actually what it was called. It certainly had diamond in it. I might have added dealer, but you would have been a dealer, so regardless if it wasn't the proper noun, you were a diamond dealer. And if you got like 40 people, you'll be double diamond. And then this magazine would arrive every couple of weeks, and it would be, you know, reports from people around the world. And if you've got a magazine that's covering the globe, of course there's a couple of people that are doing well. You know, you only need 4 in the magazine to make you think, oh, no way, look at this, Subjit Vaktin Takan from Bangladesh. He's doing all right. Look, he's got himself a new Merc. He's a triple double diamond, double devil dealer. Look at him, doing all right. Well, that'll be us next week. Just got to recruit more than none. Next Amway party, not so good. Not so good, because everyone who came to the last one has still got their LOC that they stopped using and went back to their regular brand, because consumers are like that. Oh no, I don't like that one. It's weird. It reminds me of that weird party. Do you remember down at the Dangerfields? No, every time I smell it, I think of their front room. No, just give me that fairy liquid, you know. I was like, that's better. I don't write on my hand or polish my hands anyway, and I certainly don't put it in my coffee. So, of course, what happens next is you start going further down into the dark, dusty recesses of the phone book. And now we're having parties with people you would not invite to a party. You know, should we ring like Victor and Peggy? Oh, God, no, we ain't seen him in like 30 years. Yeah, but come on, look how much of this stuff we've got laying around. It was all around the house. It was around magazines, LOC, SA8, all sorts of just weird shit, man. They had this thing, like the old mint, me and my brother loved it. Terrible breath you've got at like 11 years old. So, yeah, use that. Ooh. And so, yeah, the second part, it's just, yeah, remember when we used to all know each other anyway? And then by this time, I'm like, nah, come on, the X-Men's playing up. It was quite sad to see it end, really. I mean, there was all the stuff just still laying around the house. And I remember just, like, I don't remember, I wouldn't have been privy to it anyway. I don't remember my mum and dad sort of saying, right, that's it, we're done with Amway. I remember them driving off every month to go to these hideous nights out. And I know they were hideous because they come back just shocked, befreaked by what was really kind of like evangelist businessmen. You could imagine there'd be an American there going, one of you in this audience is going to be rich. Is it going to be you? And my mum going, what? Hang on. Can I have 2 sugars in mine, please, Pastor Bob? But it just sort of faded away, as did dreams of my PK Ripper and whatever it was my brother wanted. But the toot lasted a long time. The 20 bottles of LOC, I think they're still under my mother's sink now. And the soap powder that no one really wanted. Made your clothes smell of candy floss or something. And the endless files and all my dad's charts, that's the thing that really done me. All that work he put in, this will get him if I, proper bit of writing, not like old Derek's stupid magic marker. No, this is nice, They were just laying around for ages, and they kind of signified what was probably a good few million failed 80s small get-rich-quick schemes that scarred the history of many a working-class family in 1980s England. Amway. It certainly wasn't the Dart way. It weren't Dartford's way. It weren't Danger Way. Although that's an idea. Danger Way. So I literally did consider it then. New pyramid scheme. Products you can't put in your drink, won't wash your hands. Another one of the parties around, just as an ending for this. Another one of the parties, because like I said, you had the Am Summers, Tupperware. A lot of people don't know about the Tupperware was originally a party-based thing. You know, some strange woman would turn up with all her mates and sell you. That was a weird thing, because after mum and dad got past all their friends, small groups of friends, even if you got 100 friends between you, the ones who are going to come and the ones who ain't, you've only got 2 parties in you. The average family's got 2 parties, and now you're dealing with enemies. You then hire other people's houses and their friends, and you count them in. That's part of the Amway system. Now we give you 20% of the sales at the end of the night. Tuck them a £5, a free bottle of LOC. Oh dear. So Tupperware, same thing. We had some woman turn up at our house and she got out all her plastic bowls. And, Tupperware, you push the button down in the middle, calls a little concave. Oh yeah, keeps the air out, keeps it fresher. Betterware. Oh, these brushes for polishing your shoes will last forever. True, because we had a Betterware party in the late 70s and we've still got those Betterware brushes. But yeah, you're not going to sell many like that when they're actually good. It doesn't really support the system. When your consumer durable is in fact a consumer durable, it doesn't support a consumable market. So the other one was the feather parties. Yeah, oh yeah. Great idea this was. Again, some random woman turned up who'd collared my mother somewhere in the street, or I don't know, down the pub or something. She turned up with boxes and boxes and boxes of feather-based items, like bits of ornamental bark with multicoloured feathers in them. A bit of ornamental bark with some feathers in them. Some ornamental bark with some feathers in them. And, yeah, just more and more. And slightly upmarket one, a little beveled, edged, polished wooden plaque. Avec une feather upon sea. Yeah. And, of course, end of the night, the kids should really be asleep. Here we go, I've got a bra and knickers with feathers on them. Oh, your Mick will go mad over that, wouldn't he, Barbara? Yeah, no, put them back. It's scaring everyone. We're working class. We had a budgie in our house. Night after the feather party, carked it. Boom. My mate had a budgie. We had budgies since the first one was called Smokey. Had it for about 4 or 5 years. Just sat in a cage, right in the whiff of my mother's fag fumes. Died after about 5 years. Bang, stick another one in it. That was called Bird. Lasted about 3 years. Bang, that one died. Get another one in it. Called it Zach, I think. I think there was another one, the unnamed bird. But my mate's bird was really good fun. It could speak, and it was a budgie, not an expensive parrot. A £2.90 down the pet shop budgie that could speak. Wasn't great. It wasn't like having a conversation, but it would sort of go hello, 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 which on acid sounded like it was going, "You will die soon, like Hitler." And I've gone round there one day and the cage is empty. You couldn't see all the way in it because it had like the thing to catch all the bird seed around the bottom. And I said, "Oh man, your bird died." He went, no, he's in there. Oh, he's in there. So I've sort of peeked over the little catching bag so I could see in the cage. And he was on the bottom of the cage. But all his feathers had fallen out. It had some kind of bird illness. And if you don't know this, think of the shape of a budgie. It's got its head, it's got its body. Almost like a pinball. No, not a pinball. Skittle that you throw. You know what you throw the ball at in bowling, so it's got its head and its body, but its tail is a feather. So when that's gone, it was all pink as well. It looked like a ball sack with eyes and a beak, and it had his little feet sticking out, just like a bollocks, like a set of bollocks with a couple of eyes. I was like, oh, it looks like he's doing all right. Yeah, I think it lasted a couple of weeks there, like scratching around, trying to get the last bit of trill in its mouth. I think that seems like a good place to end another beautiful nostalgia on 80s Britain. I salute you, Thatchy.